Chapter 1: Ancient and Medieval Civilization.
Part
A. Greek.
Introduction.
The Greek civilization was one of the most ancient civilizations of the world. It originated in 1500 BC. Ancient Greece was the birthplace of arts, science, sports, philosophy, and political organizations. The name Greece comes from the Latin name Graecia and was first used by the Romans. Graecia was a Greek colony close to Rome. The name of the colony was attached to the rest of the inhabitants by the Romans. While the ancient name of Greece was Hellas, the Greeks were known as Hellenes. The geographical features of the country influenced Greek society and culture. Mountains comprise 80% of the country's terrain, especially in the north of the country. It is surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea in the south, the Ionian Sea in the west, and the Aegean Sea in the east. Further, about 6,000 islands and islets surround the country's mainland, which led to a seafaring culture. Political system. Let us learn about the political system in Greece. The mountainous regions in the north and the numerous islands scattered in the seas prevented the formation of a central rule. The mountainous terrain of the region led to the formation of small villages. Many villages came together and formed a city-state or polis. Each city-state was an independent unit and had its own government and army. The city-states generally followed democratic principles. Some of the prominent city-states were Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Megara, and Argos. Often, the city-states fought with each other. However, sometimes they would come together to fight a common enemy. Athens and Sparta were two most powerful city-states in ancient Greece. The political system in Athens and Sparta were different from each other. Let us learn about the two city-states. The city-state of Athens was named after its patron goddess Athena. Athens saw many advances in art, philosophy, and political ideas. Athens was the birthplace of democracy. The chief magistrate or magistrate of the city-state was called archon. A group of 9 archons together formed an administrative council which supervised the running of the city-state. Major policy decisions were taken in a general assembly which was open to all Athenians. This system of democracy is known as direct democracy. Other city-states tried to emulate the progress of Athens. Therefore, Athens came to be known as School of Hellas. However, in Athens, only men were allowed to vote and serve in juries. Women and children had no say in political matters. The city-state of Sparta had a warrior society. It was ruled by 2 kings and a council of advisors. All its male citizens entered military school at the age of 7, where they lived collectively under harsh conditions. They became soldiers at the age of 20. The soldiers wore red cloaks to hide bloodstains from injuries. Even Spartan women did physical exercises and took part in athletics. Every soldier owned a farm which was run by his wife. Thus, Spartan women enjoyed more freedom than other Greek women. As all men were soldiers, manual labor and daily tasks were carried out by slaves who were known as helots. The Spartans emphasized a life of discipline, courage, self-reliance, and self-control to become a good soldier. Other city-states in Greece also practiced democracy. However, constant wars between the city-states led to their decline. King Philip of Macedonia attacked and annexed many of the weakened city-states, and by 338 BC had conquered and established his rule in most of the city-states. The Greek historian Thucydides wrote a book describing the Peloponnesian War between Sparta and Athens. The book also described the achievements of Pericles, the Athenian administrator and politician. Social life. The different city-states of ancient Greece shared a common culture in terms of their social structure, religious ideas, and lifestyle. The Greek society was divided into 2 classes. 1. The Greek citizens, and 2. The slaves and prisoners of war. The citizens enjoyed political, economic, cultural, and religious privileges and rights. The slaves didn't enjoy any rights and were dependent on their owners. Slaves were acquired through conquests, wars, kidnap, and purchase. Slaves were owned by private individuals, and there were also state-owned slaves. They were often ill-treated and abused and considered an inferior class. The Greek society was patriarchal in nature. Greek men received formal education which included reading, writing, literature, philosophy, mathematics, and rhetoric, or the art of presenting an argument, and athletics. Unlike the Athenians, the Spartans emphasized military training. Women had limited rights as they could not vote. They also could not own or inherit land. They were expected to stay at home, run the household, and bring up children. Greek women required a male guardian, usually their father before marriage, and later husband, to represent them. Women received an informal education from their mothers and other women in the family on how to manage the household. However, the women in Sparta were an exception as they could own land, run the household, and also received physical training. Economic life. The mountainous land terrain of the region made it difficult to practice agriculture. So, the Greeks had to depend on trading whatever goods they could produce. Further, proximity to the surrounding seas spurred the development of fishing and trade. The ancient Greeks were a seafaring people and traded with neighboring countries in the Mediterranean Sea. The availability of timber led to a flourishing shipbuilding industry. The Mediterranean climate, characterized by hot, dry summers and cool, wet winters, was favorable for the production of various fruits. Selling produce from Greek orchards was a major source of income. Further, wines were also produced and exported. Olive and olive oil were also major export items. Marble, especially from Athens and Naxos, was also exported. It was used to make Greek sculptures. Sheep rearing was common in hilly regions. Women wove woolen cloth, which was an important industry. Woolen and cotton clothes were also important trade items. Other trading goods included cereals, figs, pulses, cheese, honey and meat, tools such as knives, perfumes, and Greek pottery. Cultural life. Ancient Greece has contributed immensely to modern society in terms of literature, arts, sports, architecture, science, and philosophy. The Greek alphabet is 2,500 years old and is still in use. Greek writing has had a major influence on Western civilization. Greek literature has given us many literary genres such as epic writing, lyric, poetry, and drama, with its subcategories of tragedy and comedy. The Greeks also wrote on philosophy, science, and historiography, which deals with the evolution of history as a discipline and the methods used by historians to gather evidence. Let us learn about some of the literary contributors. Homer is regarded as one of the greatest poets of the ancient world. Experts believe he lived between the 8th and 10th century. Homer's two famous epic poems are Iliad and Odyssey. Iliad describes the Trojan War and the struggles of the Greek warrior Achilles. Odyssey describes the 10-year journey of the Greek hero Odysseus, who is returning home after the defeat of the city of Troy in the Trojan War. Pindar was the greatest lyric poet of ancient Greece. He wrote about the victories achieved in various games. It is believed that theatre began as a part of Greek religious festivals. Every city-state had a large open-air theatre where thousands of people could be seated. Some famous Greek playwrights were Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, who wrote tragedy, and Aristophanes, who wrote comedy. The Greeks were one of the first to discuss method to record history. Various historiographers wrote down accounts of past events which were previously passed down orally. Herodotus, who lived in Athens during the 5th century, is called the father of history as he was the first to write about history in the ancient world. He wrote the book History of the Greco-Persian Wars. Thucydides wrote a historical account of the Peloponnesian War as he had lived through it. He also described the life of the Athenians. He supported growth of naval power. The Greek philosophy tradition began in the 6th century. Logic and rationalism were two important essentials of Greek philosophy. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle are some of the well-known Greek philosophers. Greek contributions to science. The Greeks have contributed significantly to the field of science too. Thales of Miletus, who lived during the 6th century, was the first to suggest that natural phenomena had natural and physical causes based on natural laws rather than due to the whims of various gods. Pythagoras and Euclid propounded various concepts and theories in the field of geometry. Archimedes was a mathematician and inventor who made contributions to physics and mathematics and also invented many mechanical devices. Ptolemy was a Greek astronomer who suggested that the Earth was the center of the universe. He also gave mathematical theories of the motions of the sun, moon, and planets. Hippocrates was a Greek physician who propounded that illness was not caused by gods to punish humans but had natural causes. He also emphasized physical examination of the patient to diagnose a disease. Art and architecture. Ancient Greece art has greatly inspired the art and architecture of many countries right from the ancient times to the present day. Let us learn about the ancient Greek art and architecture. The ancient Greeks built many temples to honor their gods. Ancient Greek architecture was based on three types of columns or pillars: the Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. The three types of columns had a distinct style and design for the pillar and the top part known as the capital. The most famous of the magnificent Greek temples is the Parthenon in Athens. It was built in honor of the goddess Athena and made entirely of marble. Greek sculptures were large, life-size figures of men and women. Male figures were usually nude. Female figures were draped in elaborate garments. The sculptures had well-proportioned, physically fit bodies. A famous example is the discus thrower sculpted by Myron of Thebes. Sculptures were made of marble stone and metals like bronze. The Greek temples usually had many painted sculptures. Sports. Sports and games were an essential part of Greek life. As part of a religious festival in honor of the god Zeus, sports competitions were held every 4 years at a place called Olympia. The Olympic Games started around 776 BC. During the Games, various city-states would cease fighting wars with each other so that people could travel freely to watch the Games. The Games were regarded as a symbol of goodwill, friendship, and peace. The Games were held in an area surrounded by forests where a 12.19-meter tall temple of Zeus stood. The temple housed a statue of Zeus, which was made of diamonds and pearls. Some of the games played were running, jumping, javelin, sprint, discus, and wrestling. The winners were crowned with an olive tree wreath. The modern Olympic Games originate from this ancient Greek custom. They began in 1896 at Athens in Greece. The motto of the modern Olympic Games is faster, higher, stronger. The modern Olympic Games flag has a white background with 5 intertwined circles. The circles are blue, yellow, black, green and red in color. The winners at the first, second and third place are awarded a gold, silver and bronze medal respectively. Religious beliefs. The Greeks were a religious people and worshipped many gods and goddesses. The Greek gods were believed to have human bodies, human qualities like good and evil. In Greek mythology, they got married, had children, and also got involved in the lives of humans. Zeus was the king of the Greek gods. The other important gods were Apollo, Athena, Hera, Aphrodite, Hermes, Hades, and Dionysus, etc. Every city-state had its patron god. For example, Athena for Athens, Aphrodite for Corinth, etc. Religious rituals included animal sacrifice. Priests and priestesses carried out religious ceremonies in temples. The Greeks believed in life after death and in heaven and hell. The Greeks believed that the gods sent their holy messages through oracles. An oracle was a person, usually a priestess, who provided advice or made a prophecy which was believed to have come from the gods. The oracle of the god Apollo at Delphi was famous in ancient Greece. The priestess Pythia was the oracle at Delphi who answered questions of visitors. Decline of the Greek civilization. After King Philip of Macedonia annexed various city-states of Greece, the Macedonians ruled over most of Greece. Alexander the Great, who was the son of King Philip, succeeded him. Following Alexander's death, his empire broke up into smaller kingdoms. Later, the Romans captured Greece, slowly leading to a decline of the ancient Greek civilization. Centuries later, an interest in the study of the Greek philosophy and scientific attitude spurred the European Renaissance. Conclusion. Describing the influence of the ancient Greeks on every aspect of modern, Western civilization, the Romantic English poet P.B. Shelley has remarked that we are all Greeks. Our laws, literature and art are rooted in Greece. Not only did the Greeks develop the concept of a direct democracy, which is still practiced today in various countries around the world, but also made immense contributions to the field of science and philosophy. Greek literature has given us various literary genres such as drama, epics, and lyric poetry. Even the English word alphabet is derived from the first two Greek letters alpha and beta. In the field of sports, the modern Olympic Games continue the legacy of the practice started by the ancient Greeks.
If you like our videos, please do share and subscribe to our channel.